Uh-oh. Motherfucking relay. We're covering today's top boxing news.
Okay, we'll start with this. Former champion Nazarena Romero is exercising her rematch clause after title loss to Flores. I wasn't aware she had one, but it's good that she does, because not only do I think she deserves a rematch, I think she deserved to win the fight. Nazarena Romero wants a second fight with the woman who just took her junior featherweight world title. Romero, now 14-1 with 2 draws and 8 knockouts, lost her WBA title to Flores, 13-1 with 1 draw and 4 KOs. On May 10th, on the undercard of Erickson Lubin versus Andriel Holmes Jr. The bout ended as a split decision, 2 judges seeing it 96-94 for Flores, while the third judge had it 98-92 for Romero. Mayeli fought like a true Mexican warrior, and I commend her for her victory, Romero said in the press release, but I will be enforcing the rematch clause right away to get my title back and avenge this loss. This was the first defense for Romero, who won the vacant title in August of last year with a 10th round knockout of Paulette Valenzuela. Flores, meanwhile, had fallen short in her previous title shot, losing a unanimous decision to then bantamweight champion Yuli Hangaluna back in 2022. Romero is promoted by Stevenson Boxing and Tello Box Promotions, while Flores is with Paco Presents Boxing. According to Stevenson Boxing, the companies are in discussions about a date for the rematch and expect to make an announcement soon. Their initial meeting was on ProBox. Now, I don't know if their rematch will be on that same platform or if it will be carried by TYC in Argentina. We'll have to see. But it would seem that Mayeli Flores is not out of the woods yet. They gave her the decision for being the fighter coming forward. Given performances like Devin Haney's against Jose Ramirez or William Skulls against Canelo, you could see what the hierarchy of thought was. But where this fight was different was the fighter backpedaling was also landing punches. A lot of punches, many right hands, many body shots. She wasn't just moving for the sake of moving like Devin did or William Skull. She was landing. So giving Mayeli the decision, for no reason other than she's the fighter that's constantly coming forward, is a gross oversimplification of what took place between them. Now, I will say that Mayeli was able to test Nazarena Romero's fitness. I don't think Mayeli deserved the decision, but she did prove a tough out for the champion. She was able to take her very best punches. This wore on Nazarena Romero's energy reserves. You could see that she's used to getting a lot more respect than what she got from Mayeli, so that when the punches aren't having the desired effect, Nazarena is growing tired. She has quite a few fights that didn't go the distance. She is a knockout merchant, which in some instances is a gift and a curse. Because what's going to happen when you're in there with a fighter that can take what you've got and won't go away, keeps pressing forward? We got a glimpse of that in the Erica Cruz fight, and we just saw it again in the Mayeli Flores fight, but I still think she won. What she's got to do differently in the second fight is try to make every round like the first round, where you're moving and landing that chopping right. Don't load it up. Don't force it. If a knockout's gonna happen, then let it happen, but don't wind up the punch. You're burning through your own energy reserves in doing so, putting so much on a single shot or single shots. Just gotta let the punches flow. Work on her fitness in this camp, her footwork, and her counters. Both Nazarena Romero and Mayeli Flores are pressure fighters. But Nazarena is more the boxer of the two. She's not limited to pressure fighting, and we saw that. So that's what she's got to stick to. Try to make every round like the first round, or at minimum, as many of them as possible, because that first round, there was no question who won. It's really not until Nazarena starts engaging Mayeli Flores and trading on the inside that things got a bit chippy for her. You're wasting energy there. Now you know you're not going to knock out Mayeli, not through strength of arms. Focus on catching her coming in, keeping distance between you and her, and landing the counters. It wouldn't be a bad idea to work on the uppercut either. For a fighter like Mayeli Flores, who's coming in at a slight crouch, bending at the waist and knees, the uppercut can do a lot of damage if you time it right. And Mayeli is there for it. I don't expect Mayeli's approach to change. I think she's going to do in the second fight the exact same thing she did in the first. Pressure fighters don't really change much. And even though Nazarena is a pressure fighter also, she is a bit more adaptable. There is a bit more boxing to her than what we see from Mayeli. Bottom line, Nazarena can win. She just has to tweak a few things.
God knows what it is.
You mentioned not wanting to overlook Zepeda, but Turkey called in saying you got your eye on Tank. What do you think about the rumors of Tank and Jake fighting?
Man, Tank disrespectful to the sport if he choose that over fighting with me. I'm the best fighter in the sport. I've been telling him that. And he called cap on it. So if you're going to call cap and say I'm not who I say I am, come prove it.
We got the rematch announced today with him and Lamar Roach. I think.
Oh, they announced it today?
Shakur Stevenson thinks it would be disrespectful for Gervonta Davis to forego a fight with him and fight Jake Paul in his place. But when has Gervonta Davis ever been a man of the people? That is, when has it been his mission to satisfy what the fans want? When Shakur Stevenson is just one among many fighters that they've asked Gervonta to fight, and he won't do it. Before it became about Shakur, it was about Devin, and before it was about Devin, it was about Tio, and before Tio, it was about Loma, it was about Tevin Farmer. It just goes on. When has Gervonta ever been concerned with giving the fans what they want? Look at who his mentor was. Floyd Mayweather, who would be seen making his ring walks wearing a baklava, calling his fights bank heists. Who's he robbing? The fans? That's my purview of it. If you're robbing anyone, you're robbing them. And Gervonta Davis, he learned from you. So that's his purview. That's his perspective. He doesn't view boxing as anything to be revered or respected. It's just a come-up. That's all. A means to an end. That he can go the entirety of his boxing career having not faced Shakur and several of his other contemporaries, it's perfectly okay with him to fight a social media influencer in Jake Paul for no reason other than the money. Now, when people thought that it was Canelo fighting that same Jake Paul, they let him have it. They lambasted him for the mere idea that he would do such a thing. I don't see that same energy for Gervonta, who Jake Paul confirmed yesterday is in talks with him to do an exhibition in November. The American media is not beside itself with outrage that instead of fighting Shakur in the fall, he's going to do an exhibition in the fall. You're making time for that? Shakur Stevenson is persona non grata to Gervonta Davis. He can't find a reason to fight him. He won't make time to do it, but he'll make time for Jake Paul. And the American media won't make light of it. Some culture bullshit. That's why some people give Gervonta Davis a pass. No matter what he does, he's supposed to represent something for the culture. What culture? Small substrata of individuals within the boxing sphere that think Gervonta Davis represents something. I don't know what, but that's why they give him a pass. And that's why I do not expect Gervonta Davis to ever share the ring with Shakur Stevenson. I've been saying it for years. His career will come and go, and he will not fight that fighter. So I'm saying it here again. Before he fought Lamont Roach, he said this may be his final year in the sport of boxing. He's thinking about walking away. And when you consider what he could make fighting Jake Paul, that if he beats Lamont Roach in the rematch, goes into a Jake Paul exhibition, makes all this money. He already told you guys earlier this year that his heart isn't in it anymore. He doesn't really want to box. Well, if he goes in there with Jake and he makes a boatload of cash, do you think he's gonna keep fighting? I mean, there are not that many safe choices left. He's kind of surrounded
between Keyshawn Davis and Shakur.
If he makes a boatload of cash with Jake, he's not going to want to fight for anything less than that. And the only way to make any kind of money afterwards would be to fight the somebodies, which he's never wanted to do. So, I mean, I can't say it enough. I can't stress it enough. He's not fighting Shakur. The media really should stop asking Shakur about it and start asking Gervonta. If you're gonna put pressure on somebody, put the pressure on him.
You keep asking Shakur questions you already know the answers to. You already know Shakur wants the fight. You should be asking Gervonta why he doesn't.
What makes Jake Paul more deserving? Put him on the spot. What are you afraid of?
Ask him what he's afraid of.
For you to make such a statement, who has Callum Smith fought and beat of a level where you can say they are world-class fighters? Because guess what?
Put it back to you then. Put it back to you then, Anthony. Who's Anthony beat?
Lyndon Arthur fought Bivol and lost on points. Bivol is now the undisputed champion.
But Tundi,
we fought Benavidez. We lost in a fight of the year. Benavidez was the undisputed champion.
Same argument.
Callum Smith has fought both guys and never even looked like he won a round. So how have you managed to say that he's in a better position, a better place than Anthony Yarde?
Because he is WBO interim champion with or without Anthony Yarde. He's already on the cusp of world title honors without your fighter. He's already been a world champion before. Your guy can't say the same.
That's how he's in a better position.
That's why he's in a better position than your fighter. Your fighter is not his only option.
Because I think he's the better fighter.
Callum Smith has only ever beaten a fighter like George Grove, a British fighter, at the end of his career.
Even if that's true, that's one more world champion than your fighter ever beat. Anthony Yarde, God bless him, has never won a world title from anyone. He's faltered every time he stepped up.
So don't conflate towing the line with speaking the facts. The fact of the matter is, Callum has a better resume.
To this day, Callum Smith has not fought competitively against a world champion. Was Anthony Yarde competitive against Kovalev? Yes, he was.
Yeah,
he almost stopped him in the 8th round.
Lost.
Was Anthony Yarde competitive against Benavidez?
But he
yes.
lost.
He gave Benavidez life and death.
But he lost.
Spencer Oliver is sitting right next to you. He told you it was the best fight, one of the best fights he ever did.
It was a great fight. It was a great fight. I was there.
In a situation
I was there,
where...
Now, you can't talk to people like this because they only want to hear the sound of their own voice, and he must really like it, Tunde Ayahi.
Because he won't let Simon or Spencer Oliver get a word in on what is their own show. He just wants to talk over them.
The reason for it is he wants to drown out the truth, drown out reality.
With his opinion.
I was Tunde. I was there. I think it was a great fight. I think the fight against Benavidez was brilliant.
It was fight of the year. The
Fantastic.
British Boxing Board of Control, which is our governing body,
on current form,
named it the fight of the year. It wasn't named the fight of the year because it wasn't a fight.
Yeah, fine.
Nobody said Benavidez against
You've landed your point. You've landed your point.
Nobody said Benavidez against Canelo was the fight of the year.
But he lost.
It was no. We're talking about performances, and we're talking about meriting the two fighters.
You want to talk about meriting the two fighters? Let's talk about it. The scalp of Joshua Buatsi, then unbeaten, the one that Callum Smith just collected, is better than any scalp on your fighter's resume. Yes. Who did Anthony Yarde beat that was as good as Joshua Buatsi?
Name somebody, please.
Tunde doesn't like the idea that Callum is a better and more proven fighter than Anthony Yarde, but that's what history shows.
Yeah, Callum lost to Artur Beterbiev and your fighter did too.
Callum lost to Canelo Alvarez and your fighter lost to Sergey Kovalev. But your fighter also lost to Lyndon Arthur.
Your fighter.
Your fighter needed 2 fights before he could get 1 win over a domestic level British fighter. So let's not be too hard on Callum Smith and his resume. You can think that your fighter has all the ingredients to beat him if and when they fight. But on paper, Callum is the better, more proven fighter until further notice. And he is in a better position than your fighter because he's in line to fight for a title.
Your guy isn't. The most your guy can hope to do is win that interim status from Callum, and he hasn't done that yet.
I'm starting to wonder if he's going to, based on some recent comments from Eddie Hearns.
There's been no detailed negotiations or conversations about Smith Yarde, only that it's a fight that we're up for making. There's no kind of final position on the 5v5. There's other fights being talked about as well. I'll let His Excellency announce that. But Yarde, Smith, talks, nothing concrete. Great fight. But we're also talking to Louis de Cubas about Smith Benavidez, and also talking to Callum Smith about a potential fight just in Liverpool. So Callum's in a great spot, but we will strike in the next couple of weeks.
Yesterday I read an article where Tunde Ayahi himself spoke with some certainty that the Callum Smith fight was a done deal and it would be next, but these recent comments from Eddie Hearn state the exact opposite, going as far as saying that they're entertaining a fight with David Benavidez, who we all know has based himself out of Vegas.
Do you think it happens?
No, I don't. I don't think Team Benavidez has the resources to bring Callum Smith to America to fight for peanuts on the dollar like so many of David's opponents fight for peanuts on the dollar. The other option was a fight in Anfield Stadium in Liverpool, and I could see that happening against an opponent of Callum's choice because the WBO have granted him a voluntary defense after rejecting his petition to order the fight between him and Dimitri, knowing who Dimitri is fighting next.
He's fighting Artur. Callum knows that. The whole world knows.
They elected to grant Callum a voluntary title defense against an opponent of his choosing. That could be Anthony Yarde. That could be somebody else. But to the discussion that we were just having, if Callum doesn't fight Anthony Yarde next, what are Anthony's options? What's the biggest fight he could be in if Callum walks away, if Callum doesn't fight him?
And that's why Callum is in a better position than Anthony. He's on the cusp of fighting for a world title. He could have a homecoming fight in Liverpool.
I would prefer to see them fight, though. But because he's so close to fighting for an alphabet title, you wonder that he won't elect to play it safe. Take a lighter touch in a homecoming fight to fight in front of the hometown crowd while you wait for the world title situation to clear up.
You really don't think he'll fight David?
Well, why would you fight David Benavidez for one title when you can fight Dimitri Bivol for 3 and likely more money than you'd make fighting David? You let Dimitri and Artur settle up with each other, and if Dimitri emerges the victor, you use your WBO interim status to get him in the ring.
But I thought Michael Eifert was the next in the rotation, the German guy, via the IBF.
So maybe Callum Smith should fight him and get him out the way so he can be the next in the rotation. Fight him in Liverpool. If you're not fighting Anthony and you're not fighting David, you can fight him.
He's not fighting Anthony.
We don't know that. It's in the air, according to what Eddie Hearn said. Anthony Yarde is just one of several options Callum has. I would prefer to see them fight, but now I don't know if they're going to.
And if they don't, I don't know what Anthony's gonna do. Maybe he can get Joshua Buatsi on the phone, do a fight with him. That's still a big fight, even though Joshua's coming off a loss.
But that speaks to the discussion we were just having. Callum is in a better position than Anthony for more reasons than one, and he has a better resume.